Hello and welcome to chapter 2 of my tutorial. And for chapter 2 we will play with something practical. Let's have fun with this new friend of mine, and he's Mr. Slime. Alright, so Mr. Slime can do this right now, and he bounces a little bit, and that's what we're all going to do for for episode 1 of chapter 2. All we got to do is have body X move the slime like that. Alright, and it's obviously, well, you know, if you have started learning Live2D, you would expect more to move for one character, but we will build them up step by step. So every episode we will add a little bit more to the slime. We eventually move the eyes and add a little bit here and there to, you know, make everything looks coherent or consistent. So yeah, so let's start working with this. I'm sure you can already figure out half of it already. So let me delete all my progress and start over again. So I'm gonna delete this, and slime, bye-bye, bye-bye slime, goodbye slime, goodbye slime, goodbye slime. And there's still something around. There. Anything else? Nothing else. So my canvas is clean, and open your folder. And let's drag and drop the slime.PSD into modeler. Oh, I guess I'll open a new one so it wouldn't ask me some weird questions. No, we don't want to save. And width height 600 pixel, that's fine. So let's drag and drop. And you will see Mr. Slime being dissected into parts. There are the eyes over here. There are some invisible parts which are actually white highlights. Now the background is white and the texture is white, so we don't see anything. If you want to have a quicker check, you can click here on top in the bottom left, and you can select the color of the canvas. And as you tone it darker or some colors, you will see the white dots coming out. Alright, but obviously if you turn it black, you don't see the eyes. So you pick, or you can trust yourself if you made the PSD yourself, right? Probably don't worry about that. In general, this is my polygon settings. It would affect density and the auto arrangement of these dots. We haven't talked about, in this series, we haven't talked about PSD imports. We only talked about PNG texture map import. And currently we're drag and dropping the whole PSD. Now this is what's gonna happen. It's gonna prompt you a dissected layout of your character. And if you open a PSD in Photoshop, you will see Mr. Slime in one piece. But however, if you drag and drop it here, it will first generate into a texture map that none of the layers overlap each other, because that's the only way how Live2D is gonna work. Is that they have to separate all the texture into pieces so they can cut it up and paste it back together. Alright, so what you have to worry right now is whether or not these automatically generated polygons are working for you. Are they okay? Are they too intense? Are they too far apart from each other? Or are they picking up little dust here and there that because you didn't clean up your PSD source too well, and that's why it's picking up little dust and pixels. And a lot of problems can go wrong, but probably not with this one that I'm sharing. And if this doesn't work for you, let's just follow my polygon settings. All right, so look over here on the left side, you can see my polygon setting, and currently I'm going to read it out. All right, so the first one is boundary margin outside, that's 10. The second one is 10. Third one is 2. And then fourth one is 70. Fifth one is 2. Sixth is 3. And the last one is 0. And if you got all those in, it should look about the same. And then press OK. Alright, so now you can see Slime is back in one piece, and he's doing fine. And obviously it doesn't move yet, so let's start with putting the parts into groups, because by default when you import a PSD, everything will go into the PSD group, and we gotta separate them up. especially if you have a character where you have more parts and everything, it's going to get really messy if you keep everything just in PSD, right? So we might have to rename them first. As you can see, there are 3 layers and they're all called body. Now they have different ID because IDs are always unique. You cannot forcefully change it to something that is already taken, right? So it says the specified ID is already in use, DPSD 0.01. So you can trust that the ID is always unique, but the name, you can repeat them without a problem. Now, if you can manage it yourself, that's fine, but as a generally good practice, and who knows, maybe you'll be working with someone else in a program. Whoa, okay. And you who knows, you may be working with someone else in a project, and he might be a programmer in using Unity or other applications, and with these names repeated, they may show up in the process of making stuff. So for everyone's convenience and for safety reasons, let's have them with different names, all right? So the first one, or the first one up here on the list, that's a little point here. I'm just gonna call it body 3 because that's furthest away. And then body 2, and then body 1. You can call them ABC or whatever, right? And if you, after you type in the name, you have to press enter. Because if you say, I'm gonna change this to A, and then I'm gonna click to the next one and change to B, right? I click it, now it doesn't change, it keep it as the original one, right? That's because you didn't press enter, and you just left with the cursor hanging there, so it doesn't count, all right? So make sure you type in the name and press enter, and then go to I. We will say this is IR. Now this is the I on the left side, on our left side, but in Live2D we always name things or identify left and right objects in the perspective of the character. So if this is the character's right eye, it's on our left side, but this is the character's right eye. So we call this one IR, and the other one SIL. And for my own convenience, I always put R and L or any identifiers or tags at the back of the name instead of the front. I won't call it right eye, I call it I right. And that's for myself to organize things. It depends on how your brain works, but it works better for me that way. Just keep it consistent in general. Let me see, this is right, this is left side, so it's IR, and this is L. And then highlights, the 3 of them, and again I'll call them 3, 2, and 1. So got them all in, they're all named. Now I have to put them in groups. Now there's several ways to do this. I forgot if I mentioned, but here's how we do it. The normal way, I guess the most safe way to do it is to select it here. Whenever you select a object on the canvas, you can click here, or you can click here, whatever ways you can select an object, right? This edit panel would change accordingly. It would show whatever this part is belongs to, all the properties, all right? And let's go to the parts attribute field here, and let's select, click on it, and you'll see a drop down menu, and let's select this is body. So let's put it in body. And the other way is that we can select multiple parts at the same time. You can either hold down shift and click on these so that you'll select both objects, or you can click here and shift click here, or I think control works too. Click here, control, yep. Control and click on the list also allows you to select multiple objects. So since we have 2 more bodies, so I'm going to select these 2, and I'll both make them the body group. Now you can click on the plus sign to expand the list, and you would see body 1, 2, 3. Now I don't like how it appears at 2, 3, 1, right? It's very, no. So I just click and drag over here to see that. I've got so many messages today. So we got eyes, and I'll click and drag. Look at, the other way to do it is that I can click, drag, and drop. into eye. Click, drag and drop into eye. I can also hold down shift and click and then drag everything into eye. When you're dragging it, it may not appear that you're selecting all three, but it actually does. It's kind of weird, Live2D does that, but you know, just assuming you're using normal window browsers and you know, file explorer, and they sort of work the same way. So I'm gonna click and drag the highlights. I'll put them in body because they're sort of like the body's highlights. Where's body? There you go. And we have them separated. Next part is that, now one thing to mention is that the draw order is already arranged properly. If otherwise they would not appear as the default state. Now this white dot is on top of the body. Oops, I moved it. This white dot is on top of the body because the draw order is above it. So we have 540 on this, and the body is 470. So anything above 470 should appear on top of the bigger green body. All right. So in case it's not, it's probably something wrong in the Photoshop. But if you want to change it, you might want to do it right now before you add in the parameters. Once that's ready, we can go. We can just start working on the body. So let's click on a body by just clicking on the canvas, or go to here and click on a body part. It's body 1, and if you like, you can, you know, lock everything and just have the body group open up so that you don't accidentally select something else. Not really helpful here, but it might get in handy later. So let's have body, and there's so many ways to do this. As if you watch through chapter 1, obviously understand that, you know, we can use the deformer tool. We can just move it, you know, dots by dots. We can use the soft select tool. We can use the path deform tool. We can use the deformer. And there's so many ways to do it because all we have to do is reshaping the body. So let me think. Let's go by Deform Path tool because I feel like, if anything, that's a tool that is a little bit hard to grasp. So I want you guys to have more experience in that before we move on. So it might cause some problems later on, and this question might come into your mind. You might be thinking, why not deformer if we have to build onto things? Why not use deformer? Because deformer can also move other things along if we decide to add that later. Now let's hold on to that question, and let's not think about it for now. Let's go through this with the Deform Path tool, and if later on we run into limitations and restrictions that we cannot move on anymore, and maybe we want to change it back to deformer tool. Now we try to go through that together. All right, let's try to purposefully put ourselves in the risk of redoing things, and let's see if we do run into problems. Let's see how our sensitivity or alertness, how does it kick in? Because, you know, working with Live2D, you got to be flexible all the time. Today you may be building up your rig. Tomorrow you might be scrapping everything and change all deformers back to dot by dot transformation. Who knows, right? So let's just be adventurous. All right. So let's go select the body, use the Deform Path tool, and what kind of arrangement do we want? Obviously we used to do like straight lines, right? But obviously this wouldn't work too well for us. So let's go by something along the shape because we are shaping the whole thing as a ball. The whole basis of the animation that we're trying to make is a ball, sort of ball physics, all right? The bounciness, the squishiness of a ball, and that's why it might as well follow that shape. It's more intuitive, and it should protect you from a lot of mistakes. One thing I forgot to do is to give the body a parameter, or else nothing will work, right? So let's go back to click on a body, click on body X, and let's give them 3 points. So 1, 2, 3, and let's also select on the Deform Path tool. Any dots will be fine. When you select a path, you might see the whole texture selected, because why these blue frames are here? Am I selecting the body, or am I selecting the path? Well, the matter is that if there's a yellow dot on the path, you're probably selecting the path only. If you don't see a red frame, you're not selecting the body, because if you select both, you would see. Do you see? Okay, if you select the whole body and actually whatever dots you have that is not on the path, you would see red square. So red square means that you are moving some texture right now. We don't know how much, we don't know how many, but some parts of this texture it's being moved by you right now. So we don't need to see red frames right now, because all you want to do is give this particular path a parameter. So click on it, click on add 3 keys, and press OK. Now both the body and the path also have the parameter set up. And if you select anything else, the eyes, the white dots, or even this little nugget over here, you don't see no green dots over here, nothing is active. Alright, so that's good. Now let's start to move our Deform Path tool. Do we want to use the Edit Drawable Object tool, or do we want to use Deform Path? Well, both would work. They work a little bit differently. I'm not sure if you have learned that yet, but let's stick with Deform Path tool. Alright. Now let's try to move things around and give it a try. Feel the movement, feel the sort of the formula behind the path, and see how it moves the object. You'll see that if you move just one tip of this side, alright, a lot of distortion will happen in the middle, but not very well over here. And that's because for every dot it passes by, like you move this one, right? But as this line extends and touches the first point, beyond that point, the effect drops by far. Alright, so if you want to not even move like this chunk of the body, you can add some points here. And if you add a double point, it basically locks down. It basically locks down both sides. So this side doesn't move the other side, this side doesn't move the other side. Alright, so this is how you restrict the movement of the path tool. So we don't need that extreme movement. All we gotta do is sort of move this down a little bit, like that much, and let's also move these two down like that, but not as much as the first one, because I want to give it a jello property. Alright, so when you press, imagine you have a slime in your hand and you press on the top, or a balloon, then the top would deform a lot more than midway or the side of the body. So this would have a lot more deformation than these parts. So let's give, like, if this moved by 2 inches, then these two move by 1 inch, something like that. But also we want to expand it a little bit, because to give it a little bit of a balloon effect. Oh, I'm not sure if you know how to do this. So you're selecting both sides or 2 points, and when you hold down Control, you're ready to move both of them, right? Identically. But now I want to do is, I want the left side to move left, the right side to move right. So they're away from the center. How do I do that? I hold down Control, and if I just Control and click drag, I would only move one side. And you gotta remember how much I move this side and try to move the other side the exact same amounts, and that's sort of hard, you know, manually do it with the mouse. So instead of manually calculating, let's hold down Control and Alt and left mouse click drag. Oops, what am I? Okay, so Control, Alt, and click. Oh, wait a minute. It should be Control, click, and alternate, alright? So Control and click, don't move your mouse, Control and click, and then hold down alternate. Now you can move a little bit, just too much. If you're moving too much, oops, if you're moving too much, then people would question, like, Why would you press down the slime and it would expand by that far? You know, that's not how physics work, right? So you choose the amount, you try to guess an optimal, but we can always come back to fix it. So just get an estimate, give a little test, and see how it goes. Now, I made a big mistake here, is that I think I forgot to move. Yes, I forgot to move the perimeter before I deform it. So what am I doing? Why am I deforming the zero value on this perimeter? Because zero value should indicate the default state. I just want the ending state after the motion. So this is a mistake. I'm going to Control Z to backspace, and I'm going to do it again. So this time, I check if both objects have the perimeters. All right. So body has it, good. The path has it, good. If you move the path, does it move the body? Yes, it does. Good. So let's move to point A, or this end, and this is -10. So I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna drag this down, click, shift click, Control Shift click. You can look at here where my keys are displayed, and I'm gonna drag it down a little bit. Hold down Shift so I lock horizontal. I cannot move horizontally unless I pull off a lot. So Control and click and then Shift is how you lock the vertical or horizontal axis. Move it down, and I'm gonna stretch it with the anchoring in the center. So I'm moving both sides away from the center equally. So I got that. Might be moving too much to the side, so I'm gonna move it back in a little bit. That seems slimy. I think I can squish this a little bit more. Yeah, that's more like, maybe a little bit more. Actually, that might be too much. I'm gonna increase, stretch. Alright, so this looks kind of okay to me. And then let's do the other side, the opposite. Now after you press down the slime and then release your hand quickly, how would the slime react? How would it bounce or spring back into the original form and surpass it, and you know, maybe it stretches upwards a little bit, you know? So let's try to add that in. So reverse the logic, we have to vertically squish it and then move it up a little bit, whereas this part move up a little bit more than the sides. So that's going on. Maybe too much movement. Also, these two are too high. It looks into a perfect round shape, and that's kind of weird. I guess slime is kind of sticky at where it's touching the ground, so that would hold down the body a little bit. I can add points here. Let me just have a quick look if it's okay. Yeah, sort of. Well, I'm not gonna bother with that for now. So let's try to keep it not too much upward growth, but let's squish it inwards a little bit. All right, so we got that in. Feels like the side points are dropping height. No, that's not good enough. We gotta move it up. So that's fine. So I like that. That's my little slime right here, and it's sort of moving right now. And that is all we're gonna do today. Later on, we will add in one or two more things. We will get into Live2D viewer, and we'll skip animator for now, and we're gonna jump into viewer and have a quick test. You know, because I think everyone is getting a bit, you know, hurry to hopefully rush into viewer and test things out. So let's get into viewer very quickly after we move the eyes in the next episode. All right, I'll see you guys later.